friends. Today I am really excited to share with you my journey through the Seamwork Design Your Wardrobe course. So now I'm going to break it up a little bit. This is going to be part one, and then I will share kind of the culmination for my plans in my next video. So the way that the course works is it's a four module program that starts with gathering inspiration and creating a concept. We set some goals as far as what is the story that you're hoping to tell with your wardrobe? What are the needs that it needs to meet? There's a lot of really good internal stuff that I'll share. Yeah, what my process was, of course. I can't speak for everybody. And then from there, you make a mood board where you edit down the inspiration, and from there, build a color palette. All of that ends up leading into creating project plans. So creating some outfits and project details later to sew up. So I'm going to focus on the kind of behind the scenes part, and I'll share a bit about how the course works. And then in my next video, I'll show you the patterns and the fabrics and what I am thinking for my spring summer sewing. So the Seamwork Design Your Wardrobe course is available to Seamwork members all year round to do as a self-paced program, but twice a year they offer it in a cohort group model. And I really love that because there's definitely parts of that I would maybe skip, but I'm very socially motivated, so I've really enjoyed being a part of a group and having the chats and the forums and getting to meet some new sewists. So I've really loved that. I should say I'm not associated with Seamwork. I just have been a member for a couple of years now. I think their patterns are good. The ones that I have made, I've had mixed results with just with any pattern company, I think. If you've been following me for a while, the Seamwork Meg, which is what I'm wearing today, is my favorite pattern of all time. So I think they do good patterns, but really I like their community focus and their commitment to teaching. So I've been really happy with my Seamwork membership, and I've really loved the Design Your Wardrobe course. So I'm really excited to tell you all about it. So overall, I really like how the course is structured. So it comes as there are video modules that you can watch, and then there is a workbook. There are two workbooks actually. So this one is the full workbook that has some little assignments in there. It comes also with croquis, which are great for later on. It's got some great question and answer parts. So that is the actual workbook. And then it also comes with the collection planner. Now this is the old one. I had an extra printed last season, so it's a little bit different because they kind of updated it a little. So mine looks different, but the content is pretty much the same. So yeah, it comes with the two books, the video modules, and it's structured as a pyramid. So they talk about it from a designer's perspective of how you could go about creating a collection for a season. So you start with concepts and inspiration. So that's really about finding the underlying drive of everything and how that is going to inform fabric choices, pattern designs. It's all it starts very abstract, and I really like that. I really like that that step includes a lot of process questions to kind of tease out why you want to sew something, and what your priorities are as far as look, feel, style, mood, attitude. That's my favorite part, and I'll get into that in a little bit. So it's it starts very abstract, and then from there you create a mood board which determines a color palette. From a color palette you can determine your outfits, and then it becomes very tangible. starting very abstract, building into some concrete plans. So I do really like that format. I think it builds a lot of intentionality, which is the goal of Design Your Wardrobe. It's really about helping folks not be overwhelmed with lots of inspiration, but to really like whittle it down and find something that works for them. So I really love that part of it. Now, this was my second time starting the Design Your Wardrobe. I did it last fall as well, and I was loving it. I was doing great with it up until the last week, which is where you plan your outfits. And I got like very overwhelmed, and I felt very like pigeonholed with my inspiration and just felt like I had to choose and I couldn't choose. And it just kind of like fell apart for me. So I wanted to go into this course a little bit differently. And a lot of it has been really helpful that since last fall, I have been learning more and more about ADHD and how my particular brain works and at what levels I start to go from like fun, inspiration, excited to like overwhelm, withdraw. And where I like can start to feel claustrophobic in plans, where I can get very like perfectionist about things. So I wanted to keep those things in mind, and rather than like get to that point where something that is supposed to be fun becomes stressful, I wanted to kind of come into the course with the idea that like, if this isn't working, if there's like something that I can shift, that's okay. And like they say that throughout the course, like it is meant to help you design with intention, but it doesn't have to be like only one way. So I did really appreciate that. So I thought I would share a little bit about my inspiration and take you through, a little bit more about my process. So lesson 1 started with just gathering very general inspiration. So I'm going to leave that part off for this video, and then I'll show you where I ended up. Lesson 2 was really, for me, like the best part of this course. So it was all about finding your sewing why for the collection. So what's the drive personally? Because it's not just about adding more clothing or sewing for the sake of sewing, but like what's driving this particular situation, and then creating a goal from that. From the goal, you will also set your criteria for what are the life contexts that you're going to be designing for. So, it may be that you want to, if all your inspiration is ball gowns, but like you really need like workout clothes, figuring out what you want to do with that. And then lastly, using your goal, your why, and those life contexts to edit that inspiration into a mood board. So I thought I would share some of my answers for the whys and my goals. So what's the biggest challenge you face with your wardrobe right now? Right now I am missing a lot of pieces because of size change and style change. So I need some pieces that are gonna like mix and match well together, that are going to fit what I need to do with my life. So I just feel like I'm missing quite a bit there. And really, I want clothing that is going to make me feel more present. And I just watched a video from Jess. Oh my gosh, I just forgot her YouTube handle. Anyway, she did her April plans video and talked about how her clothing is so important to her because it really like sets the tone for feeling present. And she talked about how like a couple weeks ago, she was meeting with a client and she needed to wear something that made her feel invincible. So she put pulled together an outfit that was like all monochrome with a bomber jacket that she made. And she's like, I was totally feeling it. It was great because the more that she could like feel herself, the better she was going to be prepared for that client meeting. And then on the other hand, she talked about making a pair of Hudson pants, a pair of sweatpants, which really helped her like give herself permission to rest when she was at home. And I think that that was that really like landed with me, because that's kind of what I know a good piece of clothing can do. And that's what I'm really like looking for, is pieces that make me feel grounded and expressive. And I don't want to, I'm not going to sacrifice like comfort and my sensory needs in order to like have that feeling about how I look and feel in something, because I've done that for a lot of my life. I have like pretty big sensory issues, and I'm just like not interested in spending any time or any more like thought on like whether or not something is like pinching or itching, or I don't have like the right range of motion. So I really want to get garments that fit me personality wise, that give me that like present, affirmed feeling, that also like fit me well and that prioritize like my being comfortable. So that is, I pretty much just talked through like the rest of this page, so I won't read any more about it. But ultimately, like these questions led me to my goal here, which is to create an adaptive wardrobe that works with my fluctuating size, centers comfort, and is both expressive and cohesive. Because I want clothing that honors my whole self and helps me be more present with my life. So the context that I decided to go for was everyday dress up. So that is where I am kind of looking to level up like what I wear basically like around the house and like for errands, and to just kind of put like a little less space between, what I consider like around the house clothes and like going out clothes. So I'm really wanting things that work well for like my work from home situation, but that I can also, not have to like change if I'm going out to run errands for the day, or if I'm like going out to dinner or like for a social thing, that like that can kind of be somewhat continuous. So I'll probably be looking for comfortable, relaxed fit dresses that can dress up easily, but also be like not too fussy that I don't reach for them like for around the house. So that is context number one, everyday dress up. The second one I'm calling summer staycation. So that is going to be like the more momming stuff. So thinking about how Ember will have 6 weeks off and we will have to come up with things to do. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of science projects, which she's 5, and so science is mostly like making mud. So that's my other context of like needing some things that are going to be easy to wash, easy to wear, and science proof. So those are the two contexts that I will be looking at for going into spring and summer. So then it was time to boil down the inspiration and match it against the life context that I just talked about, the goal and the why. And I will show you the mood board that I came up with. So here is my mood board. I had it printed on some nice cardstock so that I could hang it back here, as well as like at my sewing table, because I'm really proud of it. Like I really, really like what went into this. Now, I did my mood board a lot differently than most folks in the group. I was feeling really frustrated about not seeing, if I was going for like clothing items that I would want to possibly replicate. I was not seeing those on bodies that look like mine in the style that I was wanting. And like, yes, I get that it can just take a bit more of imagination, but I just like wasn't, I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. So what I opted to go for then was what like colors, textures, what do I like about the season coming up? And it ended up being really, really freeing. So that's what I opted to go with again this time. And one of the questions in there is like, is there a life event or a maybe not like an event, but is there something about your life stage that is influencing your making at the moment? And I wrote that I'm quite homesick right now. So I was really wanting to take some inspiration from the Pacific Northwest. And so I have just gathered some images of things that I really like. So I've got on here the Painted Hills, which are in Eastern Oregon, really beautiful there. This bridge is at one of my favorite places in the whole world, and it's called Lava Canyon. It's from where Mount St. Helens erupted and like carved out these gorgeous, well, now gorgeous canyons. It's incredible, and it's like about an hour from where I grew up, so that place is really special to me. We've got the Columbia River Gorge at sunset, which is amazing. Got Santa Cruz, which is a place in my childhood that like we used to go to quite a bit. Love it there. And then this one here is of Devil's Churn on the Oregon coast, which again is like one of my favorite places. None of these are my photos, I should say. I did get them off of Pinterest, and then I used Milanote to put them all together, and it exported them, and I was able to print it off, and I'm very happy with it. But yeah, we also have like some of my favorite foods, or like summertime stuff. So I've got like a fruit pie. This one looks like it's peach and strawberry. My favorite is nectarine and raspberry. So if you haven't had that in a pie, I'd recommend go making yourself one. Orange blossoms are my favorite smell. I'm hoping to grow some blueberries this season. Blackberries are like my favorite. If you've had Oregon blackberries, they are the best. So yeah, this is more of like, what do I like about summer in general? What are things that I enjoy? I love the colors of this like tile situation over here. These are some boots that I am gonna maybe try to save up for. They're more expensive than I usually spend on anything, but I love them. So we'll see. And then I have this kitty in some like really pretty purple grass. So that is my mood board. Obviously, this is not actual garments. So what I'm working on now is figuring out how to take this inspiration and like translate it into patterns and fabrics. So that's kind of like the next step. Then we went through our mood boards to look at like what are some words, what are some feelings, and then what is the name of your collection. So I called mine Home Away from Home, and that is of course like in reference to living in Europe and being far from my family. So including images and inspiration, of the Pacific coast, of deep dark forest, like all of that is very meaningful to me at this time. But it also is kind of a reflection of like, I don't really know like where I am in my body, since I am a very different size this summer than I was last summer, and also figuring out a little bit where I'm at with gender and expression versus identity. And again, I'm really hoping to create some garments that I feel really grounded in, that are gonna help me feel a bit more present and a little less like frazzled. Yeah, in the season that I'm in. The next step is to define your color palette. So looking at your mood board, as well as if you have other colors that you just really gravitate towards, incorporating those. So the workbook has a couple of formulas for creating a steady color palette if you are looking to have a cohesive collection that like mixes and matches. For me, my color palette was really easy to pull because yeah, like I look at this and I pretty much immediately know that I want like sunset, earthy colors. So like ochre, rust, basically any kind of like foresty green, as well as I love this bright purple. I think that is a really great color for me and a really fun one for the summer. So doing my color palette was very easy with the mood board. I'm really glad that I printed it off because I was basically able to just take it to my fabric stash and really quickly like pull the fabrics that worked with this vibe, and eliminate anything that didn't. So I wanted to show you a couple of fabrics that really popped out as far as like fitting the theme of my mood board. Now there's lots of colors in there. I've pulled a whole ton of fabrics, but I'm just going to talk about right now the ones that really like fit the vibe. So I actually made like little swatches of almost all of the fabrics, well, all the fabrics in my stash that I was considering, and I like laid them out on the table with the mood board, and these are the ones that like really clicked with the vibe. So here they are. So this one is basically like, is almost like a portrait. Like this is the fabric version of that photo of the painted hills. So I'm really excited about this like watercolor canyon. That's what I am calling it, watercolor canyon linen. So this is definitely going to be like a cornerstone piece that kind of ties whatever I end up with as a collection. Like I know that this is kind of the grounding piece of it. The only trouble is I am very scared to cut into it, and I think I want to do some toiles, and I am definitely like feeling the pressure of choosing the right pattern for the fabric, not just in terms of like what will look good, but also that will capture like all of my emotions about it. So I kind of feel a lot of pressure about this one. So I'm not going to touch it for now, but this is definitely like core to the vibe. So that's one. Just stack them up over there. This is another one that I really love, and I think I shared it with you guys a couple weeks ago. So they're these little foxes, and so I'm pretty sure they're foxes, but they kind of cross over into like maybe they're coyotes. And all growing up, yeah, because I grew up in California and then moved to Oregon and Washington later. So there were always like coyotes and later cougars and bears. So there's like a lot of wildlife in in my life. And yeah, coyotes always remind me of yeah, living in California. And my grandparents in Nevada, they had like this huge desert property, and we would always like go try to find, like not find the coyotes, but yeah, they had a lookout. Anyway, I like this foxy coyote fabric. Again, like the theme is home away from home. So anything that is like sentimental or like ties me to memories is what I'm going for. So little foxy viscose there. This one, I really love the colors in here. I picked this up last fall. So it's a tiny like window pane check with, it's got ochre, it's got forest green, and it has that like bright heather. So this is just like all the colors that I was looking for in one fabric. And I do think that it, like the check fits the vibe as well. So that is that one. This is the bright purple linen. It is basically exactly the color from this photo of the kitty. So I think that's really cute. I don't tend to go for a lot of bright colors, but I think this like muted, I don't know, it's like bright, but it's also kind of like a mauve. I don't know. I think it's a really cool, unique color. So I have quite a bit of this fabric because I ended up going back and buying more. So I'm really excited that I'll have lots to play with this summer of this one. And then the last one I've also shared a couple of times, and then kind of like the watercolory one, I like went to cut into it a couple times. It's washed, so like you can see it's all like wrinkly here. I went to cut into it and then I'm like, I don't know. Is this the right project? Is this the right like feel of it? And I think that this print kind of brings a like more cottagecore vibe. I love this like grass green color. I think it's really like fresh and like a little bit brighter than a forest green or a khaki green, but it still kind of like functions similarly. So I'm really excited about this one, but yeah, a little nervous about actually committing to something about it. So with those kind of core fabrics in mind, I also pulled some solids to kind of round out some outfits. So I have this really pretty like masala lyocell. I just picked this one up from Cross and Woods this month. It was actually, I had set my color palette, and when I saw this, I was like, oh, that will be so perfect. I only bought 1.5 meters of it to make like a little blouse or probably like tank top. So that's that one. I am nervous because it is very, very slippery. So we'll see about that one. This one I have shared plans for a couple of times. So this is just a matter of getting it like cut and ready. But it's a cream embroidered cotton. It's really pretty. I have this rust cotton dobby. It looks like embroidery, but it's actually the weave. So it's really soft too. Like I thought, it looks like it might like feel rough or not feel good on the skin, but it's really, really soft. So I love that one. This is the nicest linen that I have ever bought, and I regret not buying more. I found it at the market a few weeks ago, and it was like $3 a meter, and it's so soft and it's so nice. I'm like kicking myself for $3 a meter. I should have bought like a ton more, but I only have 2.5 meters, so we'll see what this becomes. It's like, yeah. Do I go practical and like make trousers or something that I can wear through most of the year, or do I make a dress because it's so nice? Yeah, so we'll see about that one. This is a brick viscose twill. I think the color is really good. I think these are going to be some trousers or maybe a skirt. And then I have this ochre cotton canvas. It's quite a like heavy cotton canvas, and I'm planning to make some overalls with these. The last step in the creating your color palette chapter is to actually review your closet. So I did a video on this last week where I took you along through my makes from last year, and it was quite eye-opening in terms of colors. I had done some like experimenting last year with some more traditional like spring colors and found that I just like did not reach for them. Certain colors and prints, especially like light, cool toned colors, even if they were away from my face. So I had a lot of folks ask me if I had had my colors done or if I would like consider that. But for me, I kind of like waffle about it because to me, it's not just like if they look good like up against your skin. For one, a lot of the projects in question like were skirts. So it wasn't even a matter of like how they looked on my skin tone. It's more of a matter of like how they feel to me and what do the what connotations have I built around certain colors and prints. So I'm not saying I will like never get my colors done. I might. Yeah, it can be really like grounding and great to have that. But for me, I think it is so dependent on feel. And like sometimes there's overlap, but sometimes there's not. So I think I want to just kind of continue, yeah, experimenting a little bit, because there's no one else that can tell me how I'm going to feel about a certain print or color. But I do know that I don't reach for lilac skirts, that I don't reach for light bright chambray skirts, and that I want to be more careful with certain floral prints. So there were big learnings about it, and it does make me feel even more, yeah, settled in the color palette that I have chose. And I will talk a bit more about like the actual fabrics that I have picked from there in the next video. So I'm really excited to share kind of the culmination of the concepting phase, like that internal work, the inspiration led to the mood board, led to the color palette. And in my next video, I'm going to talk about the fabrics, patterns, and plans, and how I've kind of adapted the course to work for me a little bit better. But I am going to leave that for the next video, because otherwise it's just going to be like, it already feels super long. So I'm going to cap it here. Hopefully you'll be back with me next time as I share my plans and the fabrics. So really excited about that. Stay tuned, and until then, happy making. Bye!